and welcome to another episode of You and Your Health. For those of you who watch me on a regular basis, you're probably going to notice, hey, what's the deal? He's looking awful casual tonight. Well, being as it was just me tonight, I figured I'd go a little casual and just kind of essentially bring you up to speed on some news that you might not get on a regular basis. See, we all know what our doctors tell us. We all know what the news tell us. We all know what the pharmaceutical companies tell us. But you know, there's a bunch of information out there that's different and distinct from what you may hear in mainstream media. And with a little bit of digging, I think it's important for people to know that there are other opinions out there. And what I'm going to give you tonight is really not my opinion. All the information that I've gotten here tonight has come from a website, Mercola.com. And I'm going to spell that for you, Mercola.com. Dr. Mercola is a doctor. He's a medical doctor. And what Dr. Mercola does is he actually recognizes some of the limitations of traditional medicine. And he looks for alternative ways of handling almost everything. And this guy researches anything and everything out the wazoo, if you will, and brings to light some of the inconsistencies of traditional medicine. And remember, he is a doctor, but what he also does is look for other answers as well. So everything that I'm going to be reading to you today, and it's all right here, or printed it out on my computer earlier today, is going to be from Dr. Mercola. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. And you know, I am a little casual. I'm going to go actually a little bit more casual. And based upon what happened last week, and I know this is going to run for a while, but we're going to add something a little bit to my outfit. You may notice it's not the regular baseball cap that most people wear around here, but for those of you who know me, I am a Yankee fan, and seems like all is right with the universe once again. The Yankees are World Series champs. So now that I've got your blood boiling, let's see what I can do to maybe settle it down just a little bit. So again, this is all based upon information that I got off the website, and again, it's Mercola.com. So what he writes, and he's pretty much every week he sends emails out, and every week there's a new article about the swine or the H1N1 flu. And here's what he writes in one of his most recent posts. Millions of people around the world have recovered from the swine flu, and millions more will get sick with fevers, body aches, nasal congestion, cough, and sometimes diarrhea and vomiting, and recover from it this year and next year without any complications. Nonetheless, wide-scale vaccination is being encouraged, even though swine flu vaccines have been tested on only a few thousand healthy Americans for only a few weeks. There is little or no information about how safe the vaccine is for pregnant women and chronically ill or disabled children. This is probably the biggest issue that I have with all of these inoculations, particularly the H1N1 inoculation. There's no long-term studies. I have a real serious concern as to how well this has been studied and is it safe long-term. So it's important to remember that vaccines do not offer long-term immunity. Natural immunity is what you gain when you recover from influenza, and natural immunity is what is protecting older Americans who have recovered from exposure to H1N1 strains of influenza in the past. What is unknown is whether the massive amount of vaccine exposure in the U.S. population has critically weakened people's ability to mount an effective immune response to novel infections like H1N1. You see, our immune systems are developed to counteract different viruses and bacteria that come to us. And the more we take these vaccines, there are some, like Dr. Mercola, that wonders, is it weakening our immune system so that it no longer has the ability to fight things on its own? So what else do we have here? So, according to the World Health Organization, as of October 11th, 2009, that worldwide there have been more than 399,000 laboratory-confirmed cases of pandemic influenza H1N1 and over 4,700 deaths. So that's 4,700 deaths in the entire world, not just the United States. And most of all these deaths have occurred in immunocompromised individuals. Conversely, if you now look at malaria, malaria kills 1 million people every year worldwide. Death is a direct result of malaria infection. So every day, more than 2,700 people are dying from malaria, whereas less than 13 people per day died from the swine flu in the past year worldwide. So is it awful? Obviously, anyone who ever gets sick, it's not fun. And certainly anyone who ever dies, obviously it's tragic. But when you put it in perspective, it's far less than other things out there. So what do they not know about this vaccine? This is something interesting. Insurance companies in Australia would not insure doctors who gave the vaccine because it was a fast-tracked vaccine and therefore experimental. They felt that the danger of complications was far too high a risk, and it was far too high a risk to insure the doctors. Unlike doctors in America, they do not have special law that Congress would pass to insulate them from the liability should severe complications from the vaccine arise. See, now we are being told that this new fast-tracked, poorly tested vaccine is very safe and effective. The results of the testing on this vaccine were reported in the New England Journal of Medicine. It's instructive to learn that the test for safety and to assess complications lasted only 7 days after the vaccine. It's actually also interesting to note that the authors of the safety study for the swine flu vaccine were all employees of the maker of the vaccine, CSL Biotherapeutics, and 8 held equity interest in the company. So do you think maybe, I'm not going to call these people out on the carpet, but there is a financial interest here. And sometimes when there's a financial interest, sometimes things get a little blurry. So I'm just wondering, this fast-track vaccine, these people who work for the company, is it as safe as we think that it should be? It's always important to keep in mind when you hear about this vaccine being safe and produced just like seasonal flu vaccine, what else do they not know about this vaccine that they will discover in months, years, or even decades later? According to Russell Blaylock, MD, and he got this information from the CDC, the NIH, and the New England Journal of Medicine. So what he says is it's interesting to note that babies this age respond poorly to either the seasonal flu vaccine or the H1N1 vaccine. One of the largest studies ever done found that children below the age of 2 received no protection at all from the seasonal flu vaccine. Now again, this is Russell Blaylock, MD, and actually it's russellblaylockmd.com, and he's getting this information from the CDC, the NIH, and the New England Journal of Medicine. The recently completed study on the effectiveness of the new H1N vaccine, reported by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, found that 75% of small children below age 35 months received no protection from the H1N1 vaccine, and that 65% of children between the ages of 3 years and 9 years received no protection from the vaccine. But yet they're getting it. So we're injecting them with a vaccine that really hasn't been tested, that according to CDC, NIH, and the New England Journal of Medicine is offering no protection. So why are we doing this? As slated, most authorities agree that the H1N1 variant virus is quite mild as far as flu viruses go. The vast majority of people, 99.99%, are having very brief and mild illnesses from this virus. So keep in mind that when we're discussing numbers and risk, this does not intend to understate the devastation experienced by the people who are experiencing serious illness or even death. Any death is a tragedy. What we are discussing here is the risk